Well, Husky Hoops history was made once again over the weekend as the women's team watched another championship banner, number 12, hang high inside Gamble Pavilion. We'll hear from Coach Ariema and his players on how special it is to see another natty notice up in the rafters.
And down goes Duke in what is arguably one of the greatest wins in UConn football history, and definitely a statement win in the Mora era at the Rent. We'll break down the Huskies' late rally that stunned the Blue Devils. And Saturday night is date night, but there won't be any champagne or roses for the Huskies as they travel to Boston for a night game against the Cougars. It'll be number 3 versus number 7 in what could be tabbed as a November Elite 8-like showdown. We'll dive into where the Huskies stand as they prep for their Saturday battle. Connecticut Game Week starts now.
Well, if the Rent is a rockin', don't come a knockin'. That was the scene on Saturday as the roars from Husky Nation echoed far beyond the state lines of Connecticut as UConn pulled off the upset over Duke on the gridiron. Welcome into Connecticut Game Week. I'm Alexa Harley.
And I'm Sean Humphrey. The Huskies were all bite in front of the Rent's largest crowd since 2013, and the game against the Blue Devils came down to its final minute. And on the heels of such a thrilling upset, it's only right to hear what those underdogs and their head coach were barking about. There were moments when the word barn might not have been enough to describe the noise at Rentschler Field.
On that last drive, I felt them. I heard them. I think they contributed a ton to us, getting that stop at the end. I think that they put pressure on Duke.
The crowd announced at just over 38,000 witnessed UConn's biggest win in years, a stunning upset of the ACC title contending Duke Blue Devils. It was a back-and-forth battle that came down to the final minute. For UConn, it took Alex Honig's 4th down conversion on a fake punt, and yet another Moss grab from Skylar Bell to put them in position for Brian Parham to force a fumble with the game on the line. Duke's quarterback Darian Mensah didn't make the job easy for UConn, and head coach Jim Mora gave him props after the game.
That kid is special. That's a $4 million quarterback right there that you saw, and he's worth every penny, I think. He's really, really special. So to be able to kind of put some pressure on him like we did at the end, to be able to get a sack, cause fumble at the end like we did, when he's got the ball in his hands, he's scaring you.
The Huskies continue to make history even after clinching a bowl berth. UConn is 7-3 just 2 seasons after it finished with only 3 wins. And wide receiver Skylar Bell says it also means something to knock off another Power 4 opponent.
We're 2-1 against the ACC right now, one loss coming in overtime. So I think just seeing where this program was before I got here and then seeing where it is now, after 2 years with Coach Moore and his staff, I think we're doing a great job and trending in the right direction.
The post-game celebration was one to remember as the student section emptied onto Rentschler Field. But despite the feverish fanfare and the historic implications of beating an ACC foe, Mora shies away from the term statement win.
I'm not much of a statement guy. I believe that every week is its own entity. I think if you say that was a statement game, that you set yourself up a little bit for, disappointment. And so for us, it's always about what's next. We're going to enjoy this one, but then how do we get back in line to have a great performance next Saturday? And we can talk about statements like at the end of the season when it's all over, but you don't talk about it now.
You don't talk about it now, but maybe the C in UConn was for celebration this weekend because the party was on from East Hartford all the way to Storrs. But this time you might be surprised. Things haven't quite gotten old for the home fans. The Huskies continue to make history.
Yes, they do. I guess that C could also be championship, right? And write the record books in real time, might I add. Now, Sean, can you count to 12?
Not without a few toes.
Well, keep your shoes on, then look to the rafters at Gamble Pavilion this weekend because UConn women's basketball immortalized its 2025 national championship by unveiling its 12th banner. Now, in case you didn't know, that's a record amongst all programs in college hoops. One man has been at the helm for all 12 of those titles, one Gino Ariema, the Hall of Famer and winningest coach in college basketball history. Now, all the fanfare and hoopla doesn't impress him much. He says he's been waiting for this banner ceremony to finish, so he could get to the opening tip. But when he thinks about his achievements, what he remembers most is the players that have made them happen, and says they're the only thing separating one historic victory from the next.
As I've gotten to this age, I've started to think more about they're all incredibly significant to the people who won them, the people on their teams. That's why on our banners now in Worth, in our practice facility, we actually have the names of the entire roster on the banner so that, you can remember that's kind of who it means the most to. If you asked me, CD, or anybody associated with this, if you said, hey, if you could go in one of those time machines, and you could go back, would you like to relive all these and try to do it again? I would say no, because it's no way that this could ever happen the way it happened. And so it's such a unique thing.
No time machines for Ariema anytime soon, but the focus now shifts to climb toward title number 13. Sarah Strong promises to be a key player as the Huskies hustle toward finishing their season in Phoenix at the Final Four. Now, Coach Ariema says that Strong is one of the first players he turns to for leadership in timeout huddles. And from one Sarah to the next, there's Sarah Williams, who is still getting used to playing in the basketball capital of the world, but she doesn't mind watching her teammates celebrate their achievements.
Yeah, I try not to think of it as pressure. I'm just out there playing basketball, listening to what my coaches told me, and just doing what they told me to do.
I was really excited for my new teammates, the ones who were here last year, so to watch them with big smiles on their face and, hear the crowd cheer for them. And I was really more happy for them than I was thinking about how I felt about it.
Well, the number one team in the country has picked up right where it left off in total domination on the court. UConn sports a 3-0 record, beating their most recent opponent, Loyola, by over 50 points.
With a big test ahead against BYU, UConn men's hoop has opened the season in dominant fashion. So far, the Huskies' closest margin of victory is 24 points. Of course, there is also the positive hoopla surrounding center Terrace Reed's return from injury. The team has also moved up a spot from its preseason ranking. These have been dangerous dogs so far, but the rest of November is a gauntlet. 3 out of the team's 4 remaining matchups are top 15 showdowns.
Well, and Sarah Strong's start to the season has been hard to miss. She scored 21 points and pulled down 9 rebounds in each of her first 2 games. That, along with shooting a sizzling 59.3% from the field, was good enough for the AP to name her its National Player of the Week. And if that's not enough, she also took home Big East Player of the Week. It's been an all-around effort that's gotten her there. She's also blocked 2 shots and had 2 steals in each of her first 2 games.
And Trey Scott played hero for the Huskies on Saturday, dangling his way to a shootout-winning goal against Providence. In the schedule, the ranked matchup will be recorded as a tie. Scott's shot secured the extra point for the Huskies. UConn will be back in stores on Friday, taking on Northeastern in a battle of the Huskies. Saturday, the Dogs duel again when UConn travels to face Northeastern in Boston.
Well, it's time now for our top dog. And why have just one top dog when you can have 2? UConn's monumental win over Duke at the Rent required a lot from this dynamic duo that we've grown to know and love. Yes, Joe Finiano and Skylar Bell, who have been on fire all season, among the best at their positions, might I add. And Saturday was no different. Their continued connections placed them at the top of the list of some of the greatest to ever sport a Huskies football uniform. And the dog duo connected 11 times and giving Bell the green light to slide into the end zone not once, but twice against the Blue Devils. He even set the single-season receiving touchdown record for the program in the process. Vignano, on the other hand, has a touchdown in all but 1 game this season and racked up 3 on Saturday. And every week I feel like either myself or Sean throws out this line: he hasn't thrown an interception all season, and that is still the case. 0 picks for QB1. And these two were just on the same page, as evident by the way they glide on the gridiron. And naturally, they both have high praise for the other.
Skylar Bell. Guy just gets open. It's maybe I'm a little pumped up after a win, but it's time that they put some recognition on that guy's name. I think he proved it tonight. He's a heck of a football player. He bleeds it. He works at it. I'm proud of him. Proud of the way he played.
I seen him scrambling. I was like, oh, he's running. I seen the speed. I was like, he's running. He took a chop, but, he got in there. So, you want a quarterback like that to get the job done.
Who's the leading rusher today?
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah, no surprise there. Now, Fagnano ranks in the top 5 in the FBS in touchdowns and passing yards this season. Meanwhile, Skylar Bell's 1,081 yards are second in FBS, and he's also the receiving TDs leader in the nation as well. Just throwing that out there. Now, Huskies fans have one last chance to see this duo ball out, and it'll be this Saturday as they host Air Force.
Well, like Alexa said, there's only one more chance to see those Huskies at the Rent this season. We'll hear from players about the matchup and playing in front of the home fans for the final time. And UConn men's basketball has its toughest test of the season so far in Boston, and perhaps the biggest challenge comes in the form of preseason All-American A.J. DeBonsa. We'll hear from the BYU star about what he thinks the Huskies can do to make his job a little bit more difficult. More Connecticut Game Week next.
Well, the Huskies have big Saturday night plans, a garden date in Boston with the Cougars, but there's not going to be any roses or champagne on the table. Welcome back. Time for a little recon. Now, UConn begins its stretch of arguably the toughest non-conference slate in the country this weekend, taking on 7th-ranked BYU. 2 top 10 teams, 2 programs that were eliminated earlier than they wanted to in the NCAA tournament last year, and 2 squads who want to move to 4-0 on the year. Now, both rosters packed with talent, but there's one Cougar you'll have to pay close attention to. That's this guy, freshman phenom A.J. DeBonsa. Now, the preseason All-American was the top-ranked player in his class, and he started the season on fire, averaging just under 19 points and 7 rebounds while shooting nearly 58% from the field. Now, Husky Nation likes to consider TD Garden Stores North, but it's actually a true home game for A.J. He was born in Boston and raised in Brockton, Massachusetts. With that being said, and he's so close to home, the young BYU standout will no doubt have family and friends galore packing the stands, and he loves having that support, but he says that he and his Cougar clan want to leave their date night with a win. But the Huskies, they're not going to make it easy.
Just their physicality. Obviously, they're bigger, they're stronger, and their experience. Obviously, I'm a freshman coming in. They have a lot of returning guys that's won championships, that have been on winning teams. So I think just them being more experienced than me, and probably some of my teammates, is going to be very challenging, but I think we're ready for that challenge.
Well, number 7 BYU, number 3 UConn at TD Garden, 7 p.m. tip. You can't write a better Saturday night than that. And that game will air right here on Fox 61. And Sean Humphrey and I will be in Boston to bring you all the insight once that final buzzer rings.
UConn football has been rolling, meanwhile, and the fans are still reeling from last Saturday's thriller against the Duke Blue Devils. This week's showdown with the Air Force Falcons is Senior Day, the final chance fans will have to see the Huskies at home this season. Meanwhile, their opponents have had a rough 2025. The Falcons are 3-6 and struggling in the Mountain West. However, UConn's linebackers could have their work cut out for them. Quarterback Liam Zarka is the team's leading rusher with just over 900 yards on the ground. Now, UConn is a 7-point favorite against the Falcons, but the Huskies were bigger underdogs at the Rent last weekend. That's why, despite the record, the players say they're not taking Saturday's matchup for granted. And tight end Alex Honig and quarterback Damon Brinson both say they're eager to have one more chance to put on the uniform in front of the home fans.
I mean, the biggest message is the same it is every week. It's playing to our standard. It's playing to the level that we're capable of. And, I mean, Air Force is a good team. They've kept every game close. They've had some games slip away, but they're a gritty team. And it's important for us to approach it like every other week and just go ahead and play the best way we can and put a win behind, because it's hard to come off of a win just like it is hard to come off of a loss. You got to put that game behind and focus on the next week. And I'm excited to go out there and play again. And at the end of the day, it's been the same message week 3, week 7, and now week, 11 or 12.
Obviously, last home game ever. So it's like, I just think about it like that, and then, but football-wise, it's just another game, get another win. Simply as that.
Saturday's kickoff is at noon, and if UConn wins all of its remaining games, including the bowl, the Huskies would clinch their best record since jumping to FBS.
Well, one UConn volleyball standout has been putting in the work over her 4 years on the court, setting program records all along the way. I sat down with senior Emma Workmeister and her volleyball story coming up when we return. Well, Emma Workmeister got her first taste of volleyball at a really young age. And I mean young. She was born into a volleyball family and was at her first match at 3 months old. But don't worry, she wasn't expected to be notching any aces and kills just yet. And she pursued the sport from there on out. For the last 4 years, Emma has been sporting a Huskies uniform, setting records all along the way. Growing up in New York, Workmeister started all 4 years on her high school volleyball team in Victor, earning the 2021-2022 Gatorade Player of the Year. So when the time came to test the college volleyball waters, the choice to serve it up at stores was simple.
It's funny, I feel like it's cliche because it just feels like home, but I also think just the women's sports here is highlighted a lot. I think just with women's sports growing and trying to get out there more, this school had already done such a great job doing that, and obviously with the basketball program and how many resources that are available to us, and I was like, wow, that's so powerful, and I want to be a part of something like that.
And she's played a bigger and bigger part in the team's success as the years have gone by. By her junior season, Workmeister led the team with 51 aces that season and tied for second on the team with 311 kills. And she also earned a All-Big East selection. And even though last year she was acing it, her off season was spent nursing an ankle injury.
I ended up needing surgery after my junior year, so it was rehab and rehab and rehab. I mean, just trying to get back there, and I think every step, just having gratitude and leaning on my friends here, my teammates have just helped me across that journey. We ended up coming in during the summer as well for rehab, and I feel like that was a time where we were able to come in and be like, okay, this is what I want to work on today, have intention on that, work on it, get better at it, and then the next day I'll get 1% better at doing that.
Of course, as a volleyball player, having a healthy and stable ankle is essential if you want to be attacking at the net and the serve line. And she's been doing just that all season long. Workmeister is third in the nation in aces per set, and she's also ranked in the top 3 in the Big East in kills per set. Not to mention, she's also set school records, including the program record for most single-game aces with 10.
Yeah, I'm not aware during that. A lot of the times my teammates will just come up and be like, did you know? I was like, nope, I had no idea. I just feel like senior year, it's once again cliche, but you just have gratitude every single game, and I'm like, you never know what's going to happen, and I get to put on a UConn jersey and wear that jersey with my best friends and play out on the court and just have so much fun on every single point.
So she attacks at the net and the serve line, but what gets her blood pumping the most? An ace or a kill?
Oh, I think an ace. I used to say always kill, but I think just the energy of being all the way back at the end line and you're able to just ace them and they can't even have an opportunity to get the ball up. You're like, oh yeah, that's kind of fire.
Well, you know what else is fire? Breaking the Big East single-season record for most aces, and that's exactly what she did. She served that stat right up this past week when she clinched her 37th ace on the year. And Emma also said that she and the rest of the Husky squad want to secure the program's first ever Big East volleyball title since 1998, which was well before anyone on that team was born. In order to do that, UConn would need to snag one of the 4 bids to the conference tournament. As it stands now, the Huskies are 5th in the conference. They got 2 games left on the slate, Villanova and Marquette, and both those teams are above them. They both would need to lose their remaining games for UConn to jump into one of those 4 bids.
It'll be a busy weekend for UConn athletics with men's basketball's top 10 showdown, but that's not the only thing we'll be eager to show you on next week's episode of Connecticut Game Week. Stick around. Coming up, we'll tell you what's in stores. Welcome back. UConn men's soccer's regular season ended on a high note when the team stunned Seton Hall and clinched the 3rd seed in the Big East tournament. Each of the Huskies' 10 wins this season have taken some terrific performances from the players, 6 of whom have earned all Big East honors. There have also been great moments, sizzling strikes, and how did Kyle Durham save that? With that, let's check out the team's top plays from the regular season.
Into the box, and a header is buried by UConn. Fed to the middle, Brummett leaves it for Alessio, switches over to Ani. With a left foot, feeds his right, and another score for UConn.
He got the ball, did Holmes. Ball will be released and scored! Put that mark down, 2-0 UConn.
UConn with it. Shot. Finds the back of the net. For UConn. Goal scored by number 10, Sabri Hani, sending it up to Roman. Roman is on sides. Roman shot, parried away, and parried away again on the follow.
We'll have plenty to talk about the next time we see you, and it starts with a busy weekend ahead for UConn athletics.
That's right. Huskies across multiple sports are in action all across New England with no cupcake teams in sight. So here's what's going on in stores. Freshman phenom AJ DeBonsta is the mountain in the way of number 3 UConn men's basketball staying undefeated. The Huskies and the 7th-ranked Cougars meet this Saturday at TD Garden. Now DeBonsta, a Massachusetts native, returns home to New England while the Huskies try to plant the UConn flag at Stores North. Tip-off for that one at 7 p.m.
And next week, you'll hear from UConn women's hockey forward Claire Murdoch. Last season, she was Hockey East Rookie of the Year after leading the team in points as a freshman. She's been a key factor in the team's red-hot 8-3-1 start to the season. She works hard to do the little things on the ice and tells us her drive comes from the unique way she learned the sport at a young age.
I think a big thing for me was playing boys hockey growing up. I mean, you kind of learn the game a little differently. That's where I learned that no matter what, I always want to be the hardest working player on the ice because that's what I had to do to compete at that level, and I think that's carried me through to UConn.
And finally, the regular season is coming to a close on the court for the Huskies, who are on the outside looking in of the Big East bracket. They would need to win out and then hope that Villanova and Marquette fumble enough in order for UConn to break into the conference championship bubble. The final game on the regular season slate for the VB team is Saturday at Georgetown. So some seasons coming to an end, a basketball season coming up, a lot to look forward to this week.
That's why the leaves are changing color, right? Because it's fall sports season. Sean? I think that's at least part of the conversation there, huh?
All right, weather according to Sean, never not interesting. We'll make sure to bring you some more weather and more sports next week.